Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Benjamin. I'm going to show you how to build an AI agent from scratch, and we'll be using Python and LangChain. So you see, there are so many videos out there promising to teach people how to build agentic AI or even AI agents, but less than 3% of those videos will actually do so. Less than 3% of all the videos online about LangChain and AI agents will be able to teach you the concept of how to build AI agent from scratch. AI agent is not limited to chatting alone. It's not limited to chatbots alone. There are different types of AI agents. There is the reinforcement learning agent, there's the reactive agent, conversational agent. There are so many of them. So this video is actually going to serve as a foundational guide. So the first question is, what is an AI agent? You see, an AI agent, like I've always been saying and reiterating, is that it is not a messenger. It is actually a system that can receive input, give responses, remember past conversation, and also think. So every AI agent knows how to think, okay? Every AI agent knows how to think. So let's get straight into this. We are using VS Code for this. So the first thing I want you to do is to go and set up a folder, open your VS Code, and next we are going to be creating a special Python file for this, and I will call this conversation.py. Okay, next we just open our terminal and we install all the necessary packages and libraries. So since we're working with the LangChain framework, we're going to be installing LangChain. If you've already done that before, then fine. And then the large language model we're using this time is LangChain Groq. So there are others you can decide to use. There's OpenAI, Hugging Face. There are a number of them. So, but for this, we're using LangChain Groq. So let's go ahead and install the two of them. So pip install LangChain, and then you add a space, LangChain Groq. Just hit the enter button and it's going to start installing it, and within a few seconds or a minute or two it will be ready. So you see the installation is already completed, and so I'm just going to close this terminal. We'll go back to a Python file. So import all necessary libraries. The first library we are working with that we're going to import is our operating system, since we're using a local coding environment VS Code. So we'll import this, and we also need a package called agents, which is incumbent in LangChain, and that's the next thing we're going to be importing from LangChain. So we say from LangChain.agents. We are going to be importing create agent. Okay, so this agent is a package inside LangChain. Okay, so we are going to use something called create agent, a function. This is a function inside this package that lives inside this library. Okay, so the next thing after importing these two libraries is to go ahead and set up our special API key that we have gotten from the Groq website. So we are going to say set up. We're going to set up API keys. To do that, we say os.environ. And so we, in capital letters, we say Groq API key. All right. So we say it is equal to, and then you can just go ahead and paste your API key. Okay. So after doing that, let's go ahead to start creating the agent. So we start creating the agent. So let's quickly call the agent. So we say agent is equal to, so we will use this function called create agent. So say agent is equals to create agent, and then we open parentheses, and then there are parameters we need to add to this function. We need to call, very necessary, and the first one is the model we want to use. So we go ahead and say model. So what model are you using? So for this video, we'll be using Groq LLaMA 3.18 billion instance. So you can see it right inside the Groq website. That's what we're using. So we are using the Groq LLaMA 3.18 billion instance. This is a large language model for conversation, and it's okay for this particular lesson. So the next thing we have to do is to set tools. Now this comes in where you want to build a RAG application. Okay, that is, you want your AI agents to work with a particular file, a particular document, or PDF. So for this, we don't have any. We're just going to build a general conversation agent, and so we say is equal to is empty, an empty list. So the next and final parameter we're setting for now inside this particular agent is the system prompt. So we're going to tell the agent how and what it is and how it's supposed to work. So we're going to be saying system prompt is equals to, so how is this agent supposed to work and who is this agent? So let's give this agent identity. So we're going to say you are an assistant, an AI assistant. Please be very concise and precise. Okay, so here's the way it's going to act. We have told the agent that you are not just any kind of agent, you are an AI assistant, and you have to be very concise and very precise. Okay, so after doing that, now at this point the agent now has a life of its own. Okay, the agent has a life, and the life of that agent is the life of an assistant, and it's going to be very concise and very precise. So the next thing I want us to do is to go ahead and we'll be setting up a chat history. So this history actually serves as the memory of the agent. So let me just add it as a comment. We'll say we set up of the agent's memory. Okay, so since this is a new agent we are building, is the new agent, so it is assumed that there is no memory, there's no history. So we just say history is empty. So the history is empty. All right, so there's nothing inside. There is nothing inside. You've not supplied it any information before, and remember the tool is empty, so there's no PDF, there's no previous record of conversation. So the next thing I want us to do next is to set up user prompt. We're setting up user prompt, and we are going to be using the input function. So we say user prompt is equal to input, and then this is a text, so we can say type here. So you see, the user is going to type his or her inputs right inside here, and after doing that, what will happen is that we are going to send the user's input to the assistant as a prompt. So let me just show you how that's going to work. So let me say send user prompts to assistant. So all we do next, we will say message, or let's say user message is equals to, we create a dictionary, and the first thing we have right inside it is the role, and the first person is the user, and we also have the content of the message, which is the user prompt. Okay, I will explain how this will work, just a moment. So this is the history. The history is empty since we are building this afresh. There is no memory it has already. So the next thing is the user or whosoever is using this agent is going to type, send an input, maybe text or voice, but in this case it's going to be text. The user is going to type here, and then after typing we will go ahead to send the input to the assistant. So the assistant is going to receive this first as a text, and it is coming from the user, and the content is the input. All right, so this is how it's going to work. Let me close this. Now, after the agent has received the input from the user, what will happen is that it's going to add it to the history. So let's put this one down. So we say update history with user prompt. So the way it's going to be, we are going to say history.append user message. Okay, history.append user message. So whenever the user types and clicks the send, okay, what will happen is the assistant is going to first receive it and add it to the history. So it's not going to respond based on every current input, but based on the current input appended or added to the entire history it has, and it's going to work with the history as a whole. Okay, so having done that, the next thing that will happen is that the model will be invoked. Invoking means we introduce the model and use the large language model. So we say invoke the model, and so to do that we say the response from the assistant is equal to the agent dot invoke. Invoke is a command in LangChain, so we say dot invoke, and then we have a parentheses, also messages, you can just copy this one and paste it. So like I said earlier, it's going to send the entire history as a message. This will help the agents to remember the previous conversations. Okay, so don't forget, it's not just going to act over time with the latest or the current input. It's going to add the current input to the history it already has in its memory, and it's going to work with everything. Okay, so when we are calling the agent, it sees the history as the message. All right, guys. So the next thing we have to do now is to set the reply. So let's go ahead and we say the agent reply is equals to response. So we have messages. We have -1, which we'll call the most current, and then we close this, and then we say dot content. Now this content is also a function in LangChain. So having done that, let me explain again from afresh. And so remember that the first thing we had to do was to initialize the agent and set the agent parameters first, the models, and then if you have a tool, you can go ahead and set the tool, and then we explain to the agent and tell the agent its responsibility. Okay, so it's not just going to work anyhow it likes. It's going to work based on how we define it. So it's an AI assistant, and it has to be very, very concise and very, very precise. Okay, so the next thing we did was to set the agent's memory. It has a brain. It does not have any reserved memory for use. So all we had to do was to create an avenue where the user has to send an input which will serve as the first history. So what the agent will do, when the agent will receive the prompt from the assistant, it will append it to the empty history it already has, and it will get updated. And it will use that history that has been updated as the message. So whenever you send in a new input, it will add it to the already existing history and treat everything entirely as the new message. I think we're having some, okay, this is supposed to be response. So next thing that will happen after this is that the assistant is going to reply the user. So we say reply the user, and this is quite simple. So we just say print your reply. Okay, so we're going to have the replies printed over time. And so each time the model gets invoked, it will send the history as the updated history as a message, and then the large language model will provide the accurate answer, and it will be given back to the user as the response. So finally, before we round everything up, what we have to do is we now add the response of the assistant back to the history. Okay, and we'll update it so that whenever we ask a new question, it will look back at the prompts it got before. It will also look back at the response it gave, and it's going to evaluate everything for a better answer. And so next, what we have to do is to update the history with the assistant's reply. So to do that, we say assistant's message is equal to, we have a dictionary, and inside it we set the role and the content of the reply. So the first thing we do here is the role, and so we say the role, and the role this time is the assistant. So we say assistant, and we also have the content, which is the reply. So this is the reply. It's serving as the content. So we just say reply. All right, so then finally we append it to the history. So we can say history dot append. Append means to add. So history dot append, we have assistance message. Right, so at this point we are going to run this and it's going to work 100% perfectly. Okay, 100% perfectly. So don't forget, I don't want to give out my own Groq API keys, but before I run it, I am going to set it in the environment. So take note, this is the Groq API key and it's going to appear right inside here. We can run it directly using this play sign here, or you can go to your terminal and run it. So having done all this, we will just quickly go ahead and run it to see how it's going to work. So once you click on this play button, it's going to pop up the terminal and automatically our AI chatbot is working. All right, so nice one. It says type here, and this type here is coming from this. So it's expecting the user's input to come in right away. So I'm just going to say, hi, my name is Ben Uka. I am from Nigeria. So you just click on enter to send. And so we have the response automatically. It says, hi. Okay, it says, nice to meet you, Ben Uka from Nigeria. Okay, I'll say, what is my name? To see if it retains the memory, what is my first name? So say your first name is Ben. Then finally, before we end this lesson, we can just say, write a letter to my father. So it will write the letter. So see the letter. Let me take this up. So it says, dear father, I hope this message finds you well. Just wanted to say hi and let you know I'm thinking of you. Love you, Ben Uka. And I am going to ask, who was this letter addressed to? See, the letter was addressed to your father. So guys, my name is Benjamin. Don't forget to like and hit the notification button. I'll be posting and uploading more powerful videos. Don't forget to also subscribe to my channel. All right, goodbye for now.